Welcome to JSAP Chats. And today we have two very special guests from a true great American company. Um, so, my guests today are Katie Zapel, PhD, right? If I earned a PhD, I'd want someone to say it as well, by the way. That's a lot of work. That's not easy to do.
Thank you.
She is the Zippo Manufacturing Company historian and archivist and curator of the Zippo Case Museum. And I can't wait to find out all about that. And Donna Urbanski, who leads special markets for Zippo. So, ladies, thank you for joining us today. I love lighters, and I love Zippo, and I can't wait to hear the story of not only Zippo's founding, but I mean, we're talking about one of the most relevant companies in the history of America. Give us a historical view of the world, right? The U.S. and the world when Zippo was founded.
Sure. So Zippo was founded in 1932 in Bradford, Pennsylvania. And of course, the US was still at the height of the Great Depression at that time. So it always seems maybe like an odd time to start a brand new company, a brand new brand. But over 90 plus years later, I think that our founder, George G. Blaisdell, was on to something.
Why did it start?
So Mr. Blaisdell was watching a friend use a two-piece Austrian lighter here in Bradford at our local country club, and they were outside, and a fancy place. But in the 1930s, it was really common for folks to have a variety of lighters, and like any other accessory piece, they would select the one that maybe matched their outfit, went along with the activities they were performing. And so Mr. Blaisdell watched his friend with maybe a little distaste, like, why are you using this plain, kind of boring, kind of awkward lighter? We're at a nice place. And his friend said, well, it works. He knew they were going to be outside. He knew it was going to hold up better to those conditions. And Mr. Blaisdell thought, maybe I can do it better. So he wanted to come up with a solution, something that he thought would be a little bit of a sleeker design, have the potential to customize it so that you could make it decorated in different ways, appeal to different people. And he also wanted to be sure that it was going to work in any condition, be windproof, and be reliable regardless of the circumstances.
What was the state of the portable lighter before the Zippo was invented?
So there were a lot of well-known, respected lighter companies. Some of them made pocket-sized lighters. Some of them made more table lighters or more novelty lighters, larger, different shapes and sizes. Brands like Ronson, Evans, Colibri. So there were certainly well-known brands that Mr. Blaisdell had to compete with. But he felt, I believe, that by tapping into that niche of windproof lighters, always going to work outdoors, easily carried in a pocket, that he was onto something a little bit special.
George Blaisdell is the founder. Is he also the creator of it, or did he export it, the creation of it? Did he hire someone? Did he go in his garage? Was he the handyman? Take me through the making of the first Zippo lighter. And by the way, does it exist?
Yes. So, Mr. Blaisdell sort of described himself as not finishing anything. He left school early. His dad said, "You got to do something." Sent him to military school. He left that early. His family was involved in local industry, and I think Mr. Blaisdell was just trying to find his niche. He described himself as a tinkerer. I think in today's terms, we might describe him more like a self-taught engineer. That
Hmm.
tinkering, he liked to take things apart, figure out how they worked, put them together, create new items. So he did invent the Zippo lighter on our patent. There's a few other names to help apply for that patent, but he is the inventor of it. And in terms of the original prototype, so when he passed away, his daughters cleaned out his office at corporate headquarters, and they found a hidden desk compartment in his desk drawer. And
No.
inside it, yeah, no, inside it is the prototype lighter. that is not even functional, but it had to have been the one where he felt like he really nailed how he wanted it to look or feel, and it has a note on it that says, in his writing, "First Zippo lighter, do not touch." And, I think like any of us, sometimes you just grab whatever paper you have laying around, so it's literally on the back of somebody else's business card, and he tied it onto this prototype lighter, and we have it featured in our museum. So we have about a 15,000 square foot museum and flagship store here in Bradford, and I'm responsible for curating the museum, giving the tours, taking care of all of the assets and displays in that museum, in addition to running our archive. And out of everything we have on display in that museum, it's the one that gives me the most the most anxiety. Because when the
I can
founder writes a
imagine.
note that says, "Don't touch it,"
Don't
and
touch
you
it.
have to touch it,
That's so
woo!
funny. Now,
Oh, he's like, "I'm
what
so sorry."
is the company whose business card he wrote that note on still in business?
No, it was another local business, and they're no longer around.
Yeah. Okay. And how old was George when he founded the company?
Oh, that's a great question. I think he was in his 30s, but I can't recall off the
Was
top of
he
my
at
head.
all successful himself until that point? It sounds like his family had some had some business success, right?
Uh-huh.
This is not a story of a pauper. This is someone who had some a little bit of means behind him. But had he had a business success yet? Because doing it yourself and your family doing it very different.
Yeah, no, he hadn't struck out on his own with his own business up until then. He'd been working for the family industry and kind of, I think, trying to find where he wanted to land. And when he started, it was all second. He got loans, he had some investment, and he it was all secondhand equipment. Rented a space above an auto mechanic here in town. So pretty humble beginnings. There were only 3 employees at the very start. So
Yeah.
it's kind of wild, the success story. I think we maybe take for granted this many years later, but the start was not a guaranteed success.
Was it always named Zippo?
Yes. Do you know
And
why?
what's the well, I know why, but you're going to tell everyone else why.
So it's actually based on zipper. Um, so believe it or not, the zipper was invented in the late 1800s, and it was first used in military goods during World War One, and started to find its way into consumer goods in 1920s and 1930s. So right about when people didn't have a lot of extra discretionary income to purchase items. And of course, there were other fasteners prior to zippers, right? We had hook and eye, we had buttons, we had other options. But a zipper is just so much faster and easier. If you've ever had a button fly, Gene, you can attest to that. And so Mr. Blazo really liked that it represented something that felt modern, new, innovative, easy to use. He thought it was going to withstand the test of time. He liked everything that that word and the item represented. And so he played around with the sound a little bit and landed on Zippo.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I have so many more questions and I can't wait to get to them. But Donna, um, turning to you, you run special markets for Zippo. I mean, what a cool job and company. Was there a period? How long have you been with Zippo?
I've been with Zippo for about 9 months now.
Okay, so you're new,
Yep,
and you've had to go through this process of learning the company, but also learning lighters. I'm assuming, right? Unless you came from another
absolutely.
lighting company.
Yep.
Um, People associated lighters with cigarette smoking, but that's not really the case anymore, is it?
No, no, it's not. I mean, there's a lot of different applications that you can use lighters with, whether it's lighting a birthday candle, whether it is, lighting a barbecue. There are definitely different applications, and I think what's cool about Zippo is that we're always innovating, right? It being an innovative company, that we're thinking about different inserts that we can switch out. We have a rechargeable insert, it doesn't take any fuel. We have a bit safe insert, which is a multi-tool insert that we came out with this year. And, we're always looking to innovate. I know that we'll be coming out with a really exciting new insert. I can't say exactly what it is, but in 2027, we're going to launch another insert that is outside of a flame. So
Yeah, cool stuff. Katie, back to you and talking about Zippo's history. You have remained American made.
Yeah, that was really important to Mr. Blaisdell at the very start. Being from Bradford, it was important to him that his business be located in and give back to the community of Bradford. And I think that being family owned and operated still today really sets that tone, and it remains important to our current owner. So, Mr. Blaisdell's grandson, named for his grandfather, our current owner is George Duke. And it's very important to them that we are American made and we remain in this community.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm guessing you have some um, overwhelming numbers relative to the people in Bradford that have been employed by Zippo over the years, the longest tenured employee. Hit me with some numbers that are fun for us to consider from a historical perspective.
We It's really common to have multiple generations and family members, so spouses or parents and children, working in the company often at the same time. So if you like walk the factory floors, especially, you often will hear the same names over and over again. Barb Reed was one of our longest standing employees. I believe she worked for 60 years. It might have been 65.
60 years. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
yeah, just incredible.
If you work
Sorry.
for 60 years for a company, it's not really a job. You actually want to be there because you don't need to work for 60 years. But that's like someone who actually wants to go and continue to be with with their people.
Yeah, you see so much of that pride when you talk to people who work here, and
Yeah.
the company itself is very generous, and so is the community, and so you see a lot of just support of whenever there's a need, people always give back, and I think uh, to be excited at a place that you work and still want to give and help people out, I think is a pretty special place.
The most recognizable piece of a Zippo, aside from its shape, is the click, the Zippo click. Is there a story that surrounds this? Is that an accident? Like, tell me about the Zippo click.
So it's actually built into the design of the lighter. I don't know that the sound was intentional from the get-go, but the sound is a byproduct of the functionality, how the lighter is created. So there's a little piece called the cam, and it helps the lid open correctly and close correctly. And that actually is what gives our lighter that quintessential click sound. And it is so quintessential that in 2018, we actually trademarked that sound. And it's incredibly difficult to trademark a sound. It has to be so widely recognizable that people just know what it is automatically. And so that was kind of a pretty impressive feat. And I always liked to play the game growing up when you would like watch a TV show or a movie. Often you hear the click before you see the lighter appear, if there is one in that show or movie. And it was always fun because you hear that click and you'd be like, I know what's coming next. But you asked
That's
about the
cool.
design evolution.
I
So
did.
the design actually remains largely unchanged from that original design. So the company was founded in 1932. We didn't produce our first lighter until 1933. It took a little bit of time to
Hmm.
perfect that design and get things up and running. But the design itself has remained largely unchanged in 90 plus years. Now, obviously, our manufacturing techniques have changed. We've
Sure.
become a little bit more mechanized, try to scale up in terms of how much we can produce, how quickly. But the actual anatomy of the lighter remains pretty largely unchanged. One of the only exceptions, I'll say, of course, we've got our classic windproof lighter. In 1956, we introduced a slim version. Same height, same specs, other than we just slimmed it down a little bit, made it a little bit easier to fit for those of us who have smaller hands, slimmer lines in a suit pocket. But other than that, pretty much the same design, which is incredible to have nailed it right at the beginning.
I'm Jay Sapovitz, and this is The Great American Summer. And today we're featuring Zippo. One of the things I love about Zippo is that even though they've mainly remained the same, they haven't stopped innovating. I mean, look at this, super cool. Here it is, a hand warmer. And it looks like a Zippo lighter. I mean, beautiful packaging and a really neat product. Next is a rechargeable candle lighter, right? This is not your throwaway item that you're going to get at the dollar store. This actually plugs in and charges. You'll never have to buy another lighter for the grill or a campfire, anything that requires reach again. Zippo innovation. Come to inkstores.com and check them out. Were there any pivot points inside of Zippo where it was like, you know, we're in trouble, we don't know if we're going to make it, or has it been not a straight line, but has it been an American classic since day one and it's never changed?
I don't think there's a linear line to success, right? But I
For
think that
sure.
the company was maybe a little bit slower to start. Again, being that we got our start during the Great Depression. Um, by 1935, 1936, orders started to pick up. So around that time, there was an order placed from Kendall Oil Company, which was also located here in Bradford, Pennsylvania. The order was for 500 lighters, and I'm sure that Donna can attest that we get orders for 500 lighters all the time. Now it's kind of
Yeah.
by any means, but at the time, that was our largest order to date. And up until then, Mr. Blaisdell very publicly had been, a brand champion, right? Everything was Zippo all the way and very proud of his company. But I think privately he was a little nervous that, uh-oh, maybe this isn't going to be this amazing thing I envisioned. That was the first order where in his notes he was like, okay, we're gonna make a go of it. I love it for a few reasons. One, it was another local company. Two, it's an order. You think of the scale and the evolution over time. A 500-piece order today is perhaps not quite that impressive. But yeah, it also shows that everything's not fully linear. A couple
Yeah.
years later, so 1937, we had our first full page nationwide advertising campaign, and it
Wow.
featured a pretty lady showing the lighter as being windproof, and it highlighted trying the fan test. And folks over time have really loved the lady featured in that ad. Now she's 100% fictional. We had to make up a name for her.
Mm,
Her name is Wendy, because she's the windproof lady.
yeah. By the way,
Um,
so is Betty Crocker. So,
right, just made up. But like you have a good product, but if you have something to help you sell it, it's not gonna hurt.
yeah.
Uh, it's wild to me because our collectors today love anything with Wendy. We put Wendy on anything we know it's gonna be popular. At the time, Mr. Blazo was kind of like, "Don't talk to me about that ad." To him, it felt like a failure. He didn't see that big uptick in sales that he hoped for, and then by
Mm,
the time he did see it, they weren't ready for that volume of production and getting things out fast enough. So for him, it felt like a failure. For us, in hindsight, we're like, oh my gosh, she's iconic. She's like the spokesmodel. I just think it's really neat how at the beginning, especially, it's not that perfectly smooth road to success. And of course,
yeah, for
over
sure.
the years, we grow in the number of employees, and then we try and figure out how we can be more efficient. So yeah, changes over time.
Has Wendy changed over time, or has her representation changed over time? Evolved with the times. I mean, have you ever seen the Morton Salt
Yeah.
evolution of their logo? I mean, that's a classic case of evolution. Over time. Has Wendy or remain the same?
She's remained mostly the same. We've done some fun things like dressing Wendy for different decades because obviously
Yeah.
at the beginning she's kind of like a PG pinup style from 1937. So we've dressed her for different decades. We've done different coloring of her clothing instead of sort of the black and white scale that she was initially. But for the most part, the pose especially has remained the same because that's what makes it so iconic.
By the way, with that 500-piece order in the history of the were they decorated? Were they engraved? Were they personalized, or were they just plain?
So they were with a kind of logo design. So
They were.
customization has been at the core of our business, which is why it's so great to have Donna here. It's been at the
Yeah.
core of our business from the very start. And actually, it wasn't until the 1990s that we had a big catalog, like what you would think, to flip through. Prior to the 90s, from our very beginning, our catalog was a little brochure. It was an insert. It was a one-page ad because it was really highlighting that we can make any design you want. We can customize it. And our customization has changed over the years. We've had metal emblems and engraving and a paint and etch. So different iterations, but the idea was you want a design on there, your company logo, your signature, a family photo, we're going to make
Yeah.
that happen.
Yeah. I mean, since we're talking about design, Donna, let's talk about it. Let's customization on Zippos is crazy. I mean, I've seen some of the things that you've done. I'd love for you to just kind of highlight the different methods or opportunities that people can put their company brand or imagery or logos, styles.
What Katie was talking about, I think it's pretty wild how, Zippo was really a trailblazer, right? When you think promotional products and branding lighters back in the 30s is pretty pretty inspiring and pretty crazy to think about it. But we offer a 30-piece minimum on the majority of our lighters for customization. We have in-house engineers that have tested every single model, every single decoration process, every single model in surface to make sure that each decoration process is going to work within each model and color. Um, and orders from 30 pieces up to tens of thousands of pieces. Um, m- Turnaround time is roughly about 3 weeks after concept approval. But we pride ourselves in probably 15-ish decoration processes. So
Yeah. Yeah.
if you can dream it up, chances are, we can make it come to life.
And full reps, full like top, full bottom, full the whole piece itself.
Not the bottoms, that's pretty
Not
much the only
not the
surface.
bottoms,
Yep,
but
not the bottoms, but pretty much, we have a color 540 decoration that
yeah.
can go around the whole product. We can also do that in a laser format too. So, we can do emblems. It has a higher minimum quantity, but we can do emblems, we can do embossing. But for the most part, our color image and laser engraving seems to be the
Yeah.
most popular when it comes to special markets. Occasionally, you'll get a customer that wants to get really creative, and we have those processes. Like I said, the color 540, which is the 360-degree full color. We have a fusion decoration, which brings the background color of the lighter to life. So there's a lot of different options that we can offer.
Yeah. I love it. I gotta tell you, I am such a fan of Zippos. I mean, they're just cool. I'm sure both of you have run into situations where you've seen like blow your mind Zippos. Do you remember them? What are they?
We have a core catalog, that we put out, which is just whether it's a licensed product, Jack Daniels or John Deere or just any kind of themed lighters. Our design team is so creative with their just what they come up with on that for that core catalog, yearly.
You man, it's not a slap a
Um
logo on the side of a lighter.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's some great
Yeah.
ones that we've done within special markets as well. It's just you
Yeah.
have to be creative to keep it fresh and exciting for our buyers. But I think a lot of the collectible ones are pretty cool. So
Yeah.
that would be probably my favorite that
Well,
comes out.
my guess, Donna, is that the yearly collectible ones that are the coolest are the ones that were in existence before the word collectible existed.
It is kind of neat because obviously early on the lighters were designed to be utilitarian, functional,
Sure.
but gifting was always very important. And we kind of had two main markets. One that was going to be maybe more outdoors, a little bit more rugged. You're going to rely on it no matter what, and maybe beat it up. And then also we sold our lighters at jewelry counters. So the more high end pieces,
Mm.
especially we used to have a design technique that we called bright cut. It was an engraving, but it really
Yeah.
gave this kind of shimmery jewelry effect on the metal. And so collecting and gifting took off, especially, you start to amass a few of them and then you decide which one you're going to use that day. Maybe one gets a little more use and one stays back for special occasions. So in the 1970s and 1980s, we really saw this boom of
Mm.
collecting that continues through today of people buying them specifically to put them on display. They're never going to be used to light a fire,
Yeah.
but they're going to be show pieces on a wall in a display case. They're going to be given as
Totally.
gifts. Yeah, those are pretty special.
Yeah. What are you suggesting that Zippo was a department store brand at one point?
Not a department store brand, but we were
Jewelry
featured lots at
stores.
stores
All
throughout
right.
the country.
But not like a Strawbridge and Clothier or a Pomeroy's early as an accessory feature, right? No.
No, more like hardware stores or maybe like a local store that had a jewelry counter.
Yeah. But nonetheless, still a piece of it, an accessory to somebody.
Yeah, I mean, I remember being a kid and seeing the lighters at the jewelry counter in our local like Kmart and Walmart. That's where they
Okay.
were sold at the
Where,
time.
are you from Bradford originally?
I am from Bradford,
I
yes.
mean, what a story. What a
I
story. How many relatives have you had work for the company?
Well, so my family's originally from like 30 minutes away, and I
Uh-huh.
used to joke that I was the only person in town that didn't have a relative who worked here at Zippo.
Yeah.
So now I am that person for the family, but my boyfriend's family has, oh, I don't think I could even count how many
Yeah.
folks have worked, at Zippo and at Case, which is just down the road, so
Yeah. That's awesome. Back to the history of Zippo because it is just such an iconic brand that's got such deep history. World War II came,
yeah.
and we're out of the Great Depression, and spending came, and I mean that really was the boom of Zippo, right? That was the I got to imagine every soldier had a Zippo lighter, and I'm sure there's amazing stories of with great pain
Mhm,
related to them, and then ones of great joy related to them as it
mhm.
involves Zippo's brand.
Yeah, so during World War II, Zippo sold exclusively to the military, so we were not selling to civilians. But we were impacted by rationing, so typically our lighter cases are made out of brass, and then we'll coat them differently. But during World War II, all brass was reserved for munitions, so bullets and bombs, and not
Wow.
lighters. Yeah, so we had to use steel instead. And of course, steel rusts, which is not ideal for a product that you're sending to the military, and it's not ideal for a product that has a lifetime guarantee. So we had to come up with a solution. So um, at the time, I just were so focused on trying to get these products made and get them into the right hands. We didn't even give it like a cool, fancy name. It wasn't until the 1990s when we wanted to do a commemorative collectible piece that we gave it a name. So we now call it Black Crackle. But
Hmm.
during World War II, we described it as this thick, uh, baked on painted coating. I mean, it wasn't catchy at all. We were just like we had to cover the lighter to try to prevent the surface from being exposed to air and water and
Yeah.
rusting. And so we were selling exclusively to the military, and there were some cool things that happened during World War II in our company. One being that because we were not selling to civilians, all of our civilian facing ads of the time encouraged folks to spend the money they would have spent on the lighter on war bonds instead. Go support the war effort in some way. To take advantage of the lifetime guarantee, take good care of the lighters that you already have, send them in to be serviced and repaired, because we don't know when we can sell you another one. And I just think that that's incredible that as a brand, we felt
Wow.
confident, like we were doing the right thing. We knew we were letting customers down, but also there was really nothing else that we felt we could be doing at the time. And I think that that's amazing to have ads selling nothing, from our company at least. And then in terms of working with the military, we actually couldn't match the demand. So I think there's this idea that every soldier had every service member had a lighter, and that maybe
That's
even
my
they
idea.
their rations, which was not quite the case, although I think we would have loved that if we could have accomplished that.
Yeah.
But in reality, we would sell to the military, and then service members would typically enter into a lottery system to be able to purchase a lighter, assuming they didn't
Wow.
run out before you got to the front of the line. Now, there's many stories of folks receiving the service members receiving lighters as gifts or trading for them, and so the lighters, they became almost a form of currency, right? You could barter, you could trade, you could give it as a really important gift. They became this little piece of home that you could carry with you in obviously really uncertain, probably terrifying times. There's so many stories from World War II and on that we hear of folks telling us that their lighter saved their life, whether it took the brunt of an impact, or they used it to signal to somebody when they were lost, when they needed help. During World War II, service members used Zippo lighters to heat rations in helmets, dry out
Yeah.
socks, communicate with one another, send signals, and they just became so much more during this era. There's one story, if I can quickly share it with you. Uh,
Please.
it gives me goosebumps every time I share it. We often receive correspondence from folks, especially if they're sending in their lighters to be repaired. And this is a story of three brothers, and essentially the lighter passed from one brother to the next to the next. They were not all together until the very end of the war, and so it was this talisman that passed from one brother to the next to try to keep him safe. They just happened to run into each other like on the battlefield. And then the second brother passed it to the third brother again at a chance happening where they were together. And when they all came home for the very first time after the war, that third brother gave the lighter back to the first brother, not knowing it was his originally. And
Incredible.
it gives me chills every time thinking how it was so important from one person to the next. It was like, what can I give my brother to keep him safe and to let him know I'm thinking of him? And it was all they had on them, and just how it found its way back to the first person. And oh, it makes me want to cry every time. Yeah.
And I'm guessing that lighter's still in the family somehow too.
It is. They kept that, it's super important to them. I just feel honored when folks, share those stories with us,
Yeah, for sure.
and if they send things in to be repaired, we always, treat those with as much care and caution as we can, and just we all kind of are in awe over the lives that these lighters live and how they connect people together.
This is the Great American Summer, and today we're featuring Zippo. I gotta tell you, I'm so excited. I love Zippo lighters. I love lighters. The packaging experience is just wonderful. Look at this gorgeous. This is a leather Zippo, fully customizable. I'll tell you the next one here. It's what I call classic Zippo. And pull it out with just gorgeous, gorgeous branding on it. I mean, your brand right here is wonderful. And then last but not least of the classic Zippos, here we have a glow in the dark option for Zippo. Glow in the dark, 85 years, Zippo, the Great American Summer. Come to our website and check it out. Yeah. No, and you mentioned it a few times. It works or we fix it for free.
Hmm.
Philosophy from day one still
Day one.
exists. Where is that?
Yeah, so it's been our policy from the very beginning that our product has a lifetime guarantee, and it actually comes from Mr. Blaisdell. When he was a child, he saved up to buy just a wristwatch, and he saved up for the one that had the guarantee. So he had to spend a little bit more money, and eventually it stopped working, so he took it back to be serviced, and they were going to charge him an additional fee. And he was to the shop owner, he's like, "Sir, I don't think you understand. I bought the one with the guarantee. Like, I'm set." And the store owner said, "Well, yes, it's guaranteed that we'll fix it, but you have to pay for it to be serviced." And he was still a child at the time, but he was so mad that he felt like that was what we would call false advertising, right? But as a kid, you're just like, they lied. They
Yeah.
they didn't they didn't tell me the truth. They said that it was gonna be guaranteed. They're gonna fix it. What do you mean I have to pay again? So he said that he stormed out into the street and he threw it in the ground. He said, if I ever make anything and I tell somebody it's guaranteed, I'm gonna mean it. So it was really important to him that we do in fact mean it. We're gonna fix it for free because we promised our product was gonna last your lifetime and really the lifetime of the product. So it ought to work forever.
It's so much deeper than beyond a marketing slogan,
Yeah.
especially when you know the background of it. Do you have any wild fix it for free stories?
Well, I think one of the things that's so cool about it is that we actually have our repair center located in our museum, so that you get to see that in action, that repair in action. I mean, the most common repair is that the hinge will wear out; it needs a new hinge pin, or the whole hinge needs replaced. But some of the wild ones are, somebody drops the lighter on the train tracks and it gets just completely flattened. Or, gets chewed up by a dog, it falls into a wood chipper. And in those cases, if we cannot repair it, I mean, our crew is great, but they're not miracle workers. So if they can't
Yeah.
repair it, then we will replace it. But some of those that just are beyond repair have found their way into our museum. And as a kid growing up in Bradford, coming to the museum, that was always my favorite display case, just to see these totally beat up lighters and be like, what on earth happened to these?
Yeah. That's cool. We're doing a feature this summer called The Great American Summer. We're discussing iconic American companies with that are historians or folks who know them intimately. Zippo has had its place in Americana as well, deeply in Americana. Um, Television, movies, and advertisements. And we talked about Windy earlier, but can you kind of walk us through Zippo and American society and the evolution of media and the evolution of art and film and where it fits?
It's hard to pinpoint like an exact moment when Zippo became this really recognizable part of American culture. Our first film appearance was Now Voyager, starring Betty Davis, but I think everybody knows Casablanca, which also came out
Hmm.
later that year. I think, in large part through those appearances in, movies and TV shows, and then through partnerships with, musicians and bands, we kind of have infiltrated many different areas of, like, American pop culture, things that you're gonna hear and see, those experiences at a concert where you're gonna pull out your lighter and you're gonna have that moment where you wave it in the air, maybe not now with the clear
I was
bag
gonna say,
policy, but
you mean your phone?
now it's your phone. It used to be
Mhm.
your lighter. I'm sure
Yeah,
some
right.
folks will
Kids don't know.
remember
By
that.
the way, I mean, I've got a 25, a 23, and a 20-year-old, and they don't know anything about a lighter at a concert. But I went to Live
Yeah,
Aid in 1985, and I had
yeah,
a lighter because
it was your lighter, right?
that's what
Yeah,
you knew that was coming, where you were going to have to put
of
your
course.
lighter up.
Yeah, actually, at one point, we did have an app that looked like the lighter, and you could flick it open, and it made the sound, and it had the
That's cool.
flames that you could still have your lighter, at the concert experience. But
That's
like
cool.
I mentioned through advertisements, a lot of our iconic ads, the ones that people still think of, are the ones from the 40s, 50s, and 60s. And they have a lot of the same core themes of things that we might still see today in terms of gifting, Americana. Often there's like a family setting, or it's something that's working outdoors. But just that portrayal of this lighter that you can always rely on, again, over time. And then through our relationship with the military, again, another avenue where lighters started to travel around the world, and take on this component. So I don't know if I can speak to all of visual media over time, but it is neat to see, those trends of just fonts and colorways and, what was popular at the time gets captured through, our advertisements, our print media,
Yeah.
and our products as well. So those are kind of fun little snapshots over time.
Yeah, as smoking became, not as readily available in the United States, did Zippo experience a decline and then have to reinvent itself at all? Did you have to almost reinvent yourself at any point?
I think we had a lot of folks who were very forward thinking. So I think we're fortunate that, maybe we saw some writing on the wall there, trying to have some product diversification as well. And then also
Yeah,
leaning into that collecting that was already starting to take off. And then also expanding into different markets. So, we sell a lot of our lighters abroad, especially in Asia. And of course, there's different attitudes about use case depending on where you are. I think we worked really hard, especially to position ourselves as, collectible items and items that are going to be good gifts and serve other purposes. But no, it's a valid point. We were lucky that we didn't see a massive dip, as smoking declined in the U.S.
correct me if I'm wrong though. And I mean, Donna, this might be for you. Is Zippo hasn't really gone crazy down market? I mean, Zippo has remained at the middle, high end market. In its products. I know that you market, for example, a candle lighter, right?
Yeah, no, totally. We do own a candle company. Um, and I think
Makes
that,
sense.
yep, that has helped. But still, the majority of our sales within special markets is the windproof lighter, right? We are selling the candle lighters, but continued popularity is the windproof lighter.
Got it. The candle lighters are this.
Yeah, for special markets, yes,
Got it. It's the A number one bestseller.
100%.
Got it. Awesome. Well, this has been a lot of fun. I mean, I really look. I love the brand, right?
Yeah.
We
I
do
love it
too.
as a I love it as a collectible. I love it as a practical use piece. Is there anything I didn't ask about Zippo that Katie you were planning on sharing or thinking about or wanted to get out there about the company or the brand or did you want to just talk about how awesome the current leadership is and um, do you think is Zippo going to stay in the family forever?
So,
Yeah,
Mr. Blaisdell's great grandson is also named for him, and his name is Grant. That's the George G is Grant, and so Grant and George G are obviously our owners, and Grant is taking a more active role. So it's exciting to see that, the next generation of family be more involved. Ahead of time, you had asked if there was a story that I particularly love that maybe not everybody knows. So I'm going to use this as my moment to share that, and now everybody's going to know it.
please.
um, so, later in life, Mr. Blaisdell, our founder, was asked, what was his greatest achievement. He talked about the Blaisdell Foundation. In 1950, he set up a philanthropic arm called the Philo and Sarah Blaisdell Foundation. He named it for his parents. And his whole goal was to give back to the community. And I think it's really incredible because he had done a lot of things privately behind the scenes, and he continued to after creating the foundation. Like I said earlier, it was important for him that the company support the community, and you just see so many instances of that. And I find it really incredible because only a few years prior, so we talked about the founding and Great Depression, we talked about World War II, but in 1946, we started selling to civilians. So it should have been great, except that we had an issue with our wheel. And so our wheel wasn't turning correctly on our inserts. So we actually halted production and sales, invested in research and development. Mr. Blaisdell made a tough call, which was to not lay anybody off, make sure everybody still got paid.
Wow.
And when asked, why, like, how can you possibly afford that? You don't know what the problem is. You don't know how long it's going to take to fix. You don't know how much it's going to take to or cost to fix. He said, well, my employees are my greatest assets. They've stood by me. I have to stand by them. So thankfully, it was a success, again, a success story. We were able to fix those issues with the wheel, get back up and running. But it was kind of all these obstacles we had to overcome. So that's 1946, that issue with the wheel. It cost about $300,000, which is close to 5 million in today's
Yeah. Wow.
inflation. And so only 4 years later, right, he felt like he and the company were doing well enough that he really wanted to formalize this sort of safety net for the community, and establish this foundation. It's the Blaisdell Foundation still exists today. It has what I lovingly, jokingly refer to as the vaguest mission statement I have ever read. And
Uh,
it's intentional. The whole goal is to serve whatever needs are not otherwise being met. So early on, that meant things like a focus on healthcare.
uh,
They purchased the first ambulance in the area, supporting our
wow.
hospital, doing clinics for kid like vision and dental clinics for kids who just wouldn't have access otherwise, right? In the 50s, those are just starting to become a thing in rural areas. And today, the foundation still supports healthcare, but they also students and education, the arts, veterans. And I just think that it's so incredible that that's the thing he was most proud of, that he wanted to
It's
make sure
cool.
his employees, his community were supported in the way that he felt like they had supported him.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, how long was the wheel crisis?
It was several months. It took quite a while to figure out what the issue was, and then we had to come up with essentially a whole new way to make the wheel so that it was not going to have that problem.
Yeah, man. Wow. For all the talk about tycoons and barons and, negative
Yeah.
stories that you hear about layoffs and yeah, man, that's a great story. I really like that. We'll make sure we put up the Blaisdell Foundation link for anybody who wants to check it out. And I appreciate the vagueness, by the way, of the mission statement.
Right?
Right?
I mean, again, I think it's just you lead by example, and I love that story because so much was just done quietly, but people take
Yeah.
notice.
We don't know who needs help or who we're going to help, but we're here to help. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really cool. Well, Katie Zapel and Donna Urbanski of Zippo, I appreciate you joining me today on JSAP Chats. This has been a really fun walk down history lane. It's 2026. You've got less than a decade. Seems like a long time, but not a long time until your 100th year anniversary of Zippo. Just out of curiosity, has any planning started for a celebration of sorts or not yet?
It has actually. We can't share any too many details yet, but we're look for something for our 95th anniversary next year in 2027, and then something really big in 2032 for our 100th anniversary.
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean,
Yeah.
100 years of and no reason to not. By the way, no reason not to be 200. Not, I mean, we won't be here, but unfortunately, but it sounds like if you do have, I don't know if you have children or end up having children. If you do end up having children, it sounds like they might be the archivists for Zippo. The way the family goes, 2 or 3 generations of Zapels could be the curators of the museum.
Bring my niece and nephews in. You never know.
Thank you so much, Katie, and thank you, Donna.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Jay.
It was a
It's a
pleasure. Well,
pleasure.
that's it. That's JSAP Chats, the Great American Summer, Zippo Manufacturing, great company, great products, and you're going to see a sale coming up here soon. So just stay tuned, and thanks for being with me.